Hi everyone, I'm Melissa with HarborHome32.com. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be, throughout this whole next week, I'll be showing you a few ways that I do preserving of herbs. I love herbs so much. I think I will be growing herbs from now until forever. If I never do any other type of gardening, I will always have a herb bed of some kind that I am attending to because, oh my gosh, they're just so good. There is nothing like fresh basil, fresh rosemary, fresh thyme. Oh, lemon thyme has been my favorite. And so I'm gonna do a little preserving this week because my herbs are about to go to flower, or they're getting close, which is what you don't want. It changes the flavor, and then also, it just changes the whole plant. So I really want to make sure I grab all of that yummy herby goodness before they change. And so I'm going to be showing you a few ways that I've learned to preserve the flavor of herbs. Now you can also dry herbs, like hang them up to dry. I do that with some of my stuff too, like lemon, thyme, and rosemary, or thyme and rosemary and oregano. Those dry pretty well. However, basil I have found does not dry really well, and sage, the sage I have this year hasn't been drying as well. So I need to figure out the whole sage business, but besides drying your herbs, which you can do, you can preserve the flavor of the herb in a few different ways. One of them is making an herb infused oil. Another is making what I call a herb salt. Oh my gosh, those two ways are our favorites. They also make really great gifts for other people. And so I gave some herb salt away to my family last year for Christmas, and I'm like, please make more next year. I want some more. So I planted more basil with that actually specifically in mind, that I could make a bunch of herb salt and give them away as gifts once Christmas time comes around. So I'm going to be doing that throughout this next week. Today I'm just going to be making the herb oil. I'll show you what that looks like. So why don't we go out to the garden and get ourselves some basil. So I'm going to take my basil and I'm going to rinse it just a little bit, not because it needs it, it's organic, it's growing in my backyard. I feel pretty comfortable just eating it as it is. However, since we're going to be boiling this down, there's a little bit of dust and dirt stuff on here that I'm going to rinse off. So that'll be good before we start cooking it in our oil. All I'm gonna do to make this herb oil is heat up some olive oil in a pan on the stove, add my herbs, this time it's basil, and let it simmer for about 15-20 minutes until the basil looks like it's kind of cooked. Now you don't want it to get too cooked or bitter tasting, so around that 15-minute mark is about what I find is good to make this oil. And that's it. That's all you have to do. You pour the oil into a little container, and oh my goodness, you're gonna have some very delicious oil to add to spaghetti, pizza, to cook chicken in, to cook shrimp in, beef in, really anything goes so well with this type of oil. So I'm gonna get started and I'll take you along. as you can see, my olive oil is in the pan and I have my basil in there. This is about the ratio that you're going for. I'd say I put in almost 1.5 cups or 2 cups of olive oil. We're just gonna let this heat up on a medium heat until it starts to bubble, and then we're gonna turn it down to a low simmer. Okay, this is looking really good. So that was maybe closer to between 20 minutes and 30 minutes. You can tell the olive oil itself actually does look a little bit greener. It's not quite the same color as it was, and the leaves have wilted even more. So we're gonna strain this off and into our container. Okay, here you go. So you can tell that this oil is a different color than the oil that we started out with. It's got a much greener tinge to it, which tells you that the basil has been infused into it. And let me tell you, it's gonna taste amazing. So what you can do is keep this either by your stove. It can stay at room temperature for, I'd say, about a month, but if you want it to last longer, you can put it in the refrigerator. And it should last you for many, many, many months after that. So there you go. That is how you make herb infused oil. Actually, what I'm gonna do to keep mine, I like, ooh, that's really hot. Ooh. I like to keep mine in this cute little olive oil jar. And I just keep it right next to my stove. That way I can just grab it, do a little sprinkling of oil when I cook, and it's right there. It's so tasty. I'm gonna let this cool though, because it's really hot glass now that I just took it off the stove. So another little tip there for you. This is a few days later, and I am now going to be making some herb salt. This is, like I mentioned, by far my favorite. It's really easy. I just got a ton of herbs cut from the garden. I've washed them, and now I'm gonna dry them and put them in the food processor with a little bit of lemon, some salt, actually like a massive amount of salt, and garlic. So you can watch as I do this. I'm gonna put it on a fast forward because it takes a little bit of time to just get it all in there. But then after it's all ground up, I'm going to put it in the oven on a really low temp. I have it set at 170 right now, because the point is that you want this to dry out, because herbs, obviously fresh herbs, have a lot of moisture in them. And so to preserve it in a way that it can stay in a container for months or a year, I think I've got a little bit of herb salt from last year still on my counter. You need them to be dried. And so it's kind of like a mix between dehydrating and then the salt also helps to preserve these flavors. I'll show you what this looks like really quick. This is my can of herb salt from last year. This is all that I have left, but it's lasting me a whole year. And I didn't make even like that much of it last year. So definitely doing it again this year, hoping to make even more so we can give some away, and I can maybe use it more than I did last year. So anyway, this is what it looks like. I just keep it in a jar on my counter and sprinkle it when I'm cooking. It goes really well on chicken, in spaghetti, fish, eggs, potatoes, sauteed vegetables like fried up vegetables. It's just a really great all-purpose seasoning to have at the ready. And again, you get all those delicious flavors that you're trying to hold on to all year from the garden. So just to give a brief little instruction, the ingredients that I put in there, or the herbs that I used, were basil, sage, thyme, lemon thyme, rosemary, and oregano. Just a huge smattering of herbs. And then as you saw, I put in about 1.5 cups of salt. I used a pink Himalayan salt. You don't want to use anything that's iodized. You want something pretty natural, like a sea salt or a Himalayan salt or something like that. And then I put in some cloves of garlic, and then also some the zest of 1 lemon. And this gives it a lot of really beautiful freshness. I'm gonna blend it up here now, just basically blend it into oblivion until it's really nice and fine. And if I need more salt, I'll add it. If I need more garlic, I'll add it. I'll kind of just test it out here, but I wanted to give you a little instruction on what I did. So now I've got my herb salt. I did add about another 1/2 cup of salt. So that's a total of 2 cups of salt. I buy it in bulk, even when I'm not making this. It's from Costco, the pink salt from and then I added another clove, a whole bulb of garlic, but our garlic is really small, so I'd say it's about maybe an equivalent of 3 cloves I added. So I think it's good. I think it smells good. I'm gonna put it on a baking sheet and then pop it into the oven for I think like 2 hours on low. At 170. And then I'll take it out, and if it's not dry enough, I'll just let it air dry on the counter, which you can also do if you don't want to use an oven or dehydrator. Just leave it out on your counter for a few days and come back every once in a while and kind of mix it up in your hands and turn it over. So here we go. Okay, it looks like our herb salt is done. It was in the oven at 170 for about 2 hours, and yeah, I think it's good to even just put it straight in the jar. So I'll show you what it looks like here. You can see how it's much darker now, and it's nice and dried. Focus on this. So there you go. That is a little bit of the herb salt making process. Our house has been smelling amazing from this herb salt. I can't not use it. I have to use it tonight in whatever I'm gonna cook. So I think some spaghetti is in order. So I'm gonna make a little spaghetti, use this new herb salt, and oh my goodness, and the herb oil. I'm gonna put some herb oil in the noodles before they are mixed in with the sauce. So I'll get to use both of the herb noodles and the herb oil. So good. Hope you enjoy.